Sharon here. I'm so glad you joined me this week. Y'all are going to have to bear with me through this video because we are having like major storms. I hope we make it through this video okay. Today, my video is how to get rid of cake face. Yeah, I know you guys know what I'm talking about. We have days where we get all dolled up, we're ready to walk out the door, we get in the car, we're looking in our mirror and say, uh-oh, I just look thick, just cakey all over. Well, there's several ways that we can deal with this. First, let's talk about what causes cake face. The first things first is too thick a foundation and concealer. Now, let me tell you what I'm talking about that. If we use a sheer to medium, we put that on and, oh, it's not quite enough and I've got a few blemishes here. Oh, it's not covering up my capillaries. So we apply a little more foundation, right? And after that we go, oh, and over here, I noticed some dark spots, some pigmentation. So we dot that and pretty soon we've got thick makeup on. It would be 10 times better to buy a medium to full coverage makeup, use a damp beauty blender, and just roll it on. Roll it on, stipple it, stipple it, stipple it everywhere on top of that to get a thinner coat. Then you would be covered the first time around. And the same way actually with your concealer, but we're going to talk about the under eye in a minute. But I remember when I used, and I say I remember when because I haven't used it in a while, is my Dior Skin Flash under my eyes. It was basically, you know, looked something like this, and it had the little brush on the end. It was like a pencil brush. And, you know, you just push the button and the product just came out and you could just scatter it around, you know, with the brush end. I loved, loved, loved that product. Now, this is one visible lift that you can get at the drugstore, and this is by L'Oreal. It's the same effect. This brush is a little thicker, but basically you just, you know, go a little bit here and a little bit at the edge. Don't make the big triangle if you have a problem with dry skin and you're more prone to cake face as it is. If you don't need to brighten that area, don't bring that big triangle like the younger girls, because that's what's going to aid you, because all your pores are going to pop out of that brightening area. I know I've had to change my ways too. So that is one thing. So watch your concealer. Try to use something with a brush. Touche Eclat's got one. Like I said, Dior's got one. There are many around. The smaller and thinner the brush, the better. If you get one and let's say you don't care for it, you like another type of concealer you've been using, then get a lip brush or another fine small brush and just dip it into the little pot or whatever container you have, and just mark it down slowly. Just cover up the dark spots like here to here and a little on the edge, and just take your finger, because it warms up the product, and just dab it in. You're going to get much better results. For those of you that use a little thicker foundation, thank you. You may not need anything at all. Now today I put absolutely nothing under my eyes, and I used like a Estee Lauder Double Wear. I put no anything under my eyes because it's already a heavier makeup, so I didn't want to overdo it, okay? The next thing I want you to think about is applying, it's too much powder. Now, once you get a foundation on, I hate to see a lot of ladies getting their big powder brush, dipping it into their powder, and going all over their face. Remember, if you're dusting this way, you're obviously going to dust off some of the product with your bristles. That goes without saying. Even if you're pressing, even around the T-zone, you're pressing it into the pores, but you're also picking up product on the bristles. What I would like to see you do is use some type of sponge or a sponge wedge. Just dip it into the powder and press lightly under your eyes, and on the area of your T-zone, which would be like from here. Okay, it's your forehead, down your nose, over in here, just barely hitting the cheeks, under the eyes, down in here, and so forth, okay? By pressing gently, you're not removing too much of the product, and you're not putting a lot on. It's kind of like baking in a lot of ways, if you know what I mean. But do not, under any circumstances, use this brush until everything is set. Now, you don't really need powder anywhere else on your face other than your T-zone. There's no reason for it. Now, some of you say, oh, well, Sharon, I have super oily skin. I have just got to dust. Well, there again, try a flatter sponge or a wedge that's got a flatter edge if you have to. The next thing I would do if I had real oily skin and thicker makeup, because I lived my whole life with the oiliest skin in the world. I mean, I would wake up and I was covered all over my forehead, all over my cheeks, down on my chin with beads of oil. I mean, I could slide out of bed. My whole life it was that way until I hit menopause. And then now I'm just like bright as an old prune. Thank God it was oily, because it managed to give me enough moisture and plumpness to make it, you know, through to my 50s, right? But when you have oily skin, you want to be so careful and just blot. Take blotting papers. My very favorite in the world are Shiseido blotting papers. And just blot that T-zone, okay? That is the best way to deal with it. And it won't remove all the makeup, but it'll remove any excess makeup and your oil, and it will still leave your pores covered. Try that. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is primers before you put on your makeup, because without the right primer or too much of a primer, you can get a cakey look of your makeup too. I know I have more than one time, and I know we're all guilty of this. I'm getting ready to put my primer on. You know what I love? My Too Faced, my Smashbox silicone primer. And I use just a pea size for my whole entire face. Well, if I'm in a hurry or I'm rushing, like a lot of times, I may get a little bit more, but I dab it here, 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 and here is all I need, and rub it all over. Then I'm good to go. But if I go buck wild and it's any more than a pea size, my makeup's wanting to slide off. I'm trying to hold my makeup on. I'm pressing. I'm doing all this gyration and the dusting and all this. And after a little while, I'm just a big cakey mess, let me tell you. So you must have the right primer. I say a mattifying primer. Makeup, I think it's Makeup Forever mattifying primer. I love, 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 and I love the Smashbox. Try those two and see if you have any luck. The next thing I want to tell you is, once you get your face all done and you say, well, I look a little bit cakey, but it's not uber terrible where I have to start over. Get your MAC Fix Plus here and just spritz. Just spritz, spritz, spritz. Wait a while, let that dry, and if you have to spritz again. Because when you walk out that door, it's going to melt all the powder into your makeup. It's going to leave such a beautiful finish. You can't believe it, because the formula of this product is to die for. So I want you to really think about these tips I just gave you. Another tip that I learned from Melina at Makeup Geek, I'm telling you, this was really cool. I did not know this. But let's say you have an old foundation, and it's one of your, medium to full foundations. And it's not too old to throw away yet, but it's getting a little thick in consistency. So you say, well, I want to use this, but, I don't know. It's getting a little, old and thick. Take any type of face oil and put 2 to 3 drops in your bottle. Shake it up really, really good, and then use your makeup. Okay, and that's going to help that makeup last, and it's going to give you the same consistency without being too thick, if you know what I mean. You can do this with any of your, full to medium coverages. For those of you that are gung-ho on Estee Lauder Double Wear, now this is the maximum coverage. As a matter of fact, I'm wearing that today just for this video. You can put some on your hand with a drop or two of oil and make this thinner as well. So you might want to try that, but with this, you definitely want to use a damp sponge, just a small size all over, because this stuff spreads. I mean, I used a pea size for my whole entire face, but thank God I had the beauty blender because I could stipple it everywhere and go from there, okay? So there you go. Those are my tips and tricks for helping you not have a cakey face, my ladies. You have a great weekend, and I will look forward to you in my next video. I want you all to stay sassy, classy, and confident, and give me a big thumbs up if you like this video.